Welcome to the Kindness Project, the podcast designed to share stories of kindness and share how kindness can make positive change in our world, one small act at a time.
In this week's episode of the Kindness Project, we talk about haircuts, Wetherspoons, and we have part 3 of our interview with Martha Lawton from the podcast Squanderlust.
Welcome, my friends, to another episode of the Kindness Project. I am joined by a man who is tired, a girl who is tired, and you are speaking to a host who is very tired. We are all tired today. We are persevering regardless. I'm joined by Russell Dames, Charlotte Dames, and my name is Chris Dames.
Yes, that is indeed.
How are we doing, ladies and gentlemen, apart from being tired?
Oh, we're good.
We're good?
Yeah.
How are you, Russ?
I'm not bad, just tired.
Just tired.
We decided to, we've done late night recordings before, but usually it's late enough that we do get to, past tired and onto
Yeah.
You know what? Every time we do a late night recording, it starts off slow and then it gets about 3 minutes in and we just collapse in hysteria. Now, I'm hoping that this particular late night recording, if there's cokes on the go, I'll have one. I'm hoping this particular late night recording, and actually, we're not recording it at 1 o'clock in the morning, we're recording it at 8 o'clock at night, but we've all had relatively long days. Thank you, Cassie. We've all had relatively long days, so 8 o'clock at night feels like 1 in the morning, doesn't it?
No.
I need a power nap.
Not quite 1 in the morning. That's what I should have had. I had a quiet afternoon reasonably, so I should have had a power nap.
Should have done. You would have been ready. Now, clearly, I'm wearing a pink shirt. I didn't get the memo about coming completely dressed as a ninja, because you two have come entirely in black.
I'm not entirely in black. You just can't see the bit. And also, my hair looks like I've got what's that thing called?
Dandruff?
That's rude. That is. No, because I bleached it blonde and then I got a haircut, so it's just the top bit that's blonde.
Highlights.
They're highlights.
Yeah, I had highlights before when I was younger.
Yeah.
Maybe
Now,
14.
what the thing you don't know, Russ, is Charlotte was going to have a Russ Dame special. So Charlotte wanted all the hair shaved off.
Oh yeah.
She wanted a skinhead. and Cassie actually took Charlotte round the hairdressers and said two things. Number one, don't have your hair cut short, otherwise you'll make me cry.
That's not what she said.
What did you say? You told me that. Right. What did you say to me?
I said that she said I would break her heart if I cut all my hair off.
Cutting all your hair off would break her heart.
Why did you want to go skinhead though?
Because I want to.
Because she wants to. She's 18. She's got the complete freedom and flexibility to do whatever she wants with her own hair. And number two, apparently, Cassie said, don't shave all your hair off. You look like Russ. Now, I thought that was quite offensive, personally. I think you're a legend and you've got a genius haircut. But
it's a classic, isn't it?
It's a classic.
Sorry, let me just clarify. It's not that creative.
No. I mean,
I much prefer Charlotte's here to
Thank you.
Just shaven.
Okay, so unofficial question of the podcast.
Russ, have you ever thought about doing that thing where you completely bleach it over and get funky patterns on?
I did go blonde once. I bleached blonded.
Yeah, there's people who professionally paint.
But I looked a little weird.
Sorry.
What would you have painted on your head, Russ? If you could have anything painted on your head.
I've seen that geezer that does the darts. I can't remember his name now. He had a lizard on the side of his head.
Right.
I think I'll go for that.
Lizard.
I saw someone and they had white under and then red stars.
Oh,
yeah,
that could be fun.
Quite nice.
Okay, so is the first unofficial question of the podcast. What if you if hair was no object, you could grow whatever hairstyle you want. What hairstyle would you have, Russ?
Oh,
Oh,
Now,
he
when-
likes it. Did you listen to that audible
think-
acts
do you
of
think-
shock and
Do you
surprise?
think
Now,
that
when-
was an attempt to mullet?
when I was 10 years old, I wasn't as old as 15. I was probably 10. I went into
I mean, 10.
our favourite
Right, were you, right, let's just get this established. Were you 10, 15, or in
Oh,
certain other age here?
I'm pretty sure I was around the 10 age, and I took
Around the 10 or the 10?
around the 10.
Around the
Were you
10.
took,
9,
Could it have
11?
been, could it have been 9?
I took a clipping from a magazine to our favourite barbers at the cemetery. You remember it?
Suicide Seeds. Yeah, Suicide
that's
Seeds.
it. That's his name.
You should never go to a barber's with a nickname like Suicide Seed, but we didn't
I-
have much choice,
I
did we?
I had quite a barney on at that point. I said to him, I want to look like Rick Astley, and he said, there's no way.
And you're never going to give that up, Rose, are you? Really? You just
Oh, we clearly let you down.
that barber let you down. So would you ideally then like to go for a Rick Ashley haircut? Would you
Not,
like
not
it?
now, but when I was younger, I
What
liked
haircut would you go for now?
I,
Would you
I
go for
like the
another,
hair,
Russ?
I like the haircut I have.
What haircut would you go for? The one you've got,
Or less.
or less?
Give me
I'd
a
go
couple
more.
more years, you won't need a haircut.
That is true. That is so true. I mean, the only good news about my baldness is that it's going from the top. So, like,
I
you
thought you were
can.
going to say it was saving you money at the barbers.
No, but because I still need an haircut. You know what? I mean, bear in mind, Russ, that our dad went bald when he was.
They don't charge you full price, surely. You're only cutting half the hair.
But they don't charge per inch, do they? They charge per haircut. I hope they charge per inch, because I'd save a decent amount of money, wouldn't I? Because they wouldn't have to do the top. But have you ever gone into a barber's where they've gone, right, you haven't got that much to cut, we're only charging you half price?
No.
Now, share the skinny on how you get your haircut, because
Get it?
you're a home haircut job, aren't you, Russ?
Oh, God.
Are you a home haircut job?
I am.
Who does your hair?
I'll be totally honest with you. I refuse to pay a tenner for somebody just to mow across my head.
A tenner.
Yeah, tenner.
Right.
That's
How
how
much
much
does
an
yours
haircut.
cost you, Dad?
Mine costs me. And how much do I pay in haircuts? I go. So the weird thing is, it's like if you compare it to a
Yeah, but you have treatments done, don't you?
well, not treatment. I have a Turkish shave, and like, I love a Turkish shave. There's nothing better than a Turkish shave. But I have a Turkish shave. I have the hot towels. 22 quid. And
Oh,
I think that's perfectly reasonable.
that's
Could you
why
want-
that's why you're on financial planner money. Yeah, and I'm on minimum money.
Yeah, you're on. I ain't paying 10 quid for an haircut money. That's what
That's
you're
right.
on. That's what
That's
you're
right.
on. I mean, what could persuade you, Russ, to invest £10 in an haircut?
I wouldn't. I just
Ever? If you had
No.
£1 million in the bank, you wouldn't spend 10 quid on an haircut.
I
Not
don't.
even if they were going to put like fun
To
patterns
be
in it.
totally honest with you, the day I'm unhappy with having it done at home, it'll be the day that I go elsewhere to have it.
I thought it was going to say.
I thought you were going to say it's the day I die. I'm
They-
never going to be unhappy with a. Well,
They-
that
they-
makes no sense at all.
they-
What you just said. The
There-
day that I'm sick of doing it at home is the day I go to the barber's. Of course
There's
it is.
no
Where
way-
else are you going to go?
There's two reasons I don't go to barbers. I don't like people coming in contact with me. I don't like being touched at all.
Oh, you know what? Right, next time he's down, while Sophie's poking him with a plastic tool
Oh,
like she likes to do.
Oh no, she
You
made,
go
No,
back.
I'm
feel
going
his
she made one
barnet.
special in bushcraft.
Sorry?
She made one special in bushcraft.
Did,
She did.
yeah.
you have got
Actually, send me a picture.
you have got a special poking coming up,
And I am gonna leave her mine when I leave.
so you can get poked with 2 swords. So what we're going to do is, when next time you're down, Sophie is going to poke you with swords. I'm going to pay £22 for my barber to come round and not cut your hair, just touch your head, just to make you feel special. How about that?
Just to clarify, I did get a nice surprise today,
Oh, go on.
and it wasn't an haircut. I answered the phone earlier. Daddy.
Right?
I say to him, "What's the matter? You never phone." He said, "I've just phoned for a chat." You always call me up, or I'd phone you.
Oh, nice. What did you chat about?
Me smoker, me kitchen smoker, and me new air purifier.
Well, it's got to be the Grandad Appreciation Week, because we've both been round to see Grandad this week. haven't we?
this week, I went last week.
Oh, last week, and I went Friday, so
I went Tuesday.
we've both been round to see him.
Was it Tuesday? Yeah.
But what he wanted to talk to me about, Russ, is our boat trip coming up.
Oh no!
Because what he said, and if you don't know, listeners, we're going on a bit of a family boat trip. It's me, Russ, and my dad, and apparently you are whipping boy for the trip.
Yeah,
That's what he said to me.
how I've heard.
So how we feeling about that?
I'm fine with that.
Has he mentioned to you lot that he's unhappy that all the local pubs have modernised, all the local breweries have modernised?
Oh,
See,
no.
he needs to get with the times. I like a good gastro style, sort of no warm beer and a cold lager and
I'll buy
something
her.
nice to eat.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with a Wetherspoons. 2 dinners for £6.
And £4, and you got an haircut. Why are you all blurry, Russ?
Why am I all blurry? I don't
Yeah.
know.
All right, okay, fair enough. Anyway, 2 dinners for £6. Is that good value?
Yeah.
So do you?
How much would you pay if they did 2 dinners for £6 plus an haircut for? If they did it for £8, would you pay it?
No.
2 dinners.
Sorry,
would-
let me just clarify. I've never brought the 2 dinners for £6 off the menu, so I can't say whether it's good value or not. But
Russ, just for clarification, if you buy more than two dinners, do you still pay £6 for the 2 dinners, or do you just pay full price for all
yeah,
3?
If you bought 3 dinners, what would you get it for?
it's £2 for £6, and then you pay whatever the cost of the.
Okay, so if you bought 4
dinner.
dinners, would it be £12?
If you ordered off that set menu, yeah.
All right. If you buy in bulk, if you get 30 dinners, how much is
Yeah, is that like 15 times 6, 60, £96?
Let's go with yeah.
90. not
Let's
96,
go with yeah.
Right.
You don't seem so certain of that.
As you know, Chris, my grasp of numbers is not great.
Let's go with
It's
yeah.
90. It's not 96. I did 6 times 6.
I don't know where I don't know what Charlotte's up to in terms of giving you wrong numbers.
Multiplication.
But let's go with yeah. I'm not saying let's go with yeah, Russ. I'm saying if you've got some time tomorrow, pop in your local Wetherspoons.
Right,
Ask for 30 dinners. Don't tell them what it's about. See how much the price is.
are you paying the bill though?
Yeah, you paying the 90 quid or more.
Let's go with yeah. Let's go with yeah. I mean,
This fun little experiment, are you going to pay the £90?
let's go with
How about
Yeah.
this? You find 30 of our listeners pay for the £6 dinner for each of them.
right.
So
It would be a £6 dinner for
by,
each
by
one, but yeah.
toes. And then ask them if it's good value for money.
Or have you got 29 friends?
Have I got 20? No, I've got 22. I'm really
Not
sorry.
anymore.
I haven't got enough. Huh?
Not anymore.
Let's should we have a brief conversation on the podcast about my Facebook absence or not, or should we save that to the next episode? I think that's probably a bit of a longer conversation.
I think you've accidentally spat on the
We
camera.
need to save for the next episode on that one. But I have now got no personal profile on Facebook because I've got randomly hacked. So we'll talk about that next time.
On the best of us,
On
mate.
that note, it's never happened to you two. On that note, let's do the visual question of the podcast.
All right, that thing.
How did you spend your last birthday? How did you spend your last birthday?
We had a shindig.
We did have a shindig. We had a party because you were 18, weren't we? How did you spend your last birthday, Russ?
How did I spend my last birthday? I'm working.
Was it ordering 30 dinners in Wetherspoons?
No.
Let's go with yes. Let's go with
Let's
yes.
go with no. I can honestly say I haven't got 30 friends to take in Wetherspoons.
Well,
Right.
you wouldn't need 30 friends, Rush. You just need 29.
29, and
Let
you.
me find in out and tell you about this.
Yeah, exactly.
No,
And like, they don't even have to all be friends, just as long as they pay for themselves.
I don't particularly celebrate birthdays.
Okay, fair
They
enough.
do.
I can't remember what we did for my last birthday. Where were we? Were we away? Were we? I don't think we did much.
You usually go to that beach hut for your birthday, don't you?
Yeah, we normally go to the beach hut. Did we do beach hut last year, Cassie? I think we might have done. But yeah, Sophie wants to say something.
You know what you do, Russell?
Yeah, go on.
You say on the invitation at Wetherspoon, I'm going to pay for all your food. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't have enough money. You're going to have to pay for your own.
That's what you do.
Is that
Apparently.
considered a scam, though?
No, it's just a subtle lie.
Is that a scam?
Because you
But-
don't actually have enough money because you didn't bring it.
Is that what's the difference between a scam and a subtle lie?
A scam is like,
When you set up,
Intentional.
when you
Someone's
set
trying
out
to
Yeah,
trick
that
you
is
out your money.
intentional.
something.
Right. Is that a scam? Let's go with
You bring up for the invitation and someone on the other end just gets a scam likely on their phone come up.
Let's move on. Tell us what you got up to on your last birthday. Russell and I are so old we can't remember. Charlotte knows exactly what she was doing, but we'd love to hear from
Oh,
you.
what are you doing your next birthday, Dad? Because that's coming up.
Yeah, it's the birthday that scarily puts me closer to 50 than it does to 40. 45 years of age.
Yeah, well, rounding. That's how
Well,
that
that's
works.
why
know,
it's in the
that's-
middle, isn't it?
Sorry?
You
Yeah,
don't
but if you
put-
were to round it, you'd
you
round
don't
up
put it
because it's
closer.
above.
Yeah, but no. I'm officially 44 and a bit until the 17th of August.
Oh.
So I'm still should I say that on the podcast?
know.
I don't know. I have now. Other dates are available. But the reality is that if you're under 45, you round down, don't you? If you're
Well,
under the middle, and then you start rounding up.
Why don't you share your address? See how many.
I might as well. Let's go with no on that one,
So
Russ.
what you've just
Let's go with no on
what
that
you've
one.
just shared is not only your date of birth, but in a certain way your year of birth, because people know exactly how old you're going to be. So you've just given away your entire birthday.
Yeah, and seeing as I've recently got my Facebook hacked,
Yeah,
I don't know whether sharing personal details on a podcast is a particularly good idea, but we've done it now, so that's it. Let's go and cut that bit out. Yeah, Russ? He won't cut
He
it
won't
out.
cut it
That's
out.
fine.
It's staying in. So let us know what you got up to on your last birthday. You can get in touch with us in the following ways.
Oh, me. This is my bit. On Twitter, we're at All the Kindness. If you want to find us on Facebook, don't look for Dad because he won't be there.
I'm not there
But if you
anymore.
search the Kindness Project, we should come up. If you type the Kindness Project podcast into Google, we should come up. Website www.thekindnessproject.co.uk. Email kindnessproject.co.uk. Anywhere else, please don't.
Yeah, just email us. Get in touch. Twitter.
Don't use all of Dad's details to find
Please don't hack any of my bank accounts or any of that. Please, I beg of you. But here's the interesting thing, and this might be a discussion for a future episode of the podcast. I'm not missing Facebook, Russ.
It's not that great. It's coming now.
I'm not missing social media at all at the minute.
So
I'm quite relaxed.
let me explain to you what that is. The only social media you actually managed yourself was Facebook.
Right.
After all your other social media, that's why you don't miss it, because you're never there.
Well, I mean, I tell you what my theory is. There's now no expectation on me to check it because I'm not there, and that then has saved me probably about an hour and a half, 2 hours a day.
I totally agree with that.
And I am toying whether to set up a new account or actually just not to bother. And I think my inclination at the minute, seeing as nothing has been negatively impacted on my life and I've got loads more time to do stuff that's more meaningful, is not to bother. So
I think
unofficial.
that's quite important. Having more time to yourself. I find myself of a night looking through Facebook for a couple of hours.
Yeah.
Sitting there aimlessly looking at stuff.
But then is there any value in it? Like in terms of that,
I like that. I like that ability to sort of see where people that you're not in contact with all the time. That connection, but it's not a real connection.
Well, this is the thing. You know what? You know what's interesting? Since I mean, you clearly can't get away from Meta because I'm using WhatsApp a lot more anyway. But since I haven't had a Facebook account, one of the big things I've done is reach out to more people individually for a more meaningful connection. So not assuming that they're going to check my Facebook and know what I'm up to, but actually having conversations directly or sending messages directly to people that matter.
That's one of the best side effects of doing something like that, detoxing like that.
Well, I didn't do it on purpose. Somebody had the account.
Not by choice, but
an accidental detox. Maybe that's exactly what I needed. But yeah, interesting. Anyway, on that note, let's move on to a little bit of
kindness news.
And this is cat edition, and what we're talking cat and gaming edition, and what we're talking about is the game Stray. Now, this is a game that my youngest daughter Sophie, who you heard on the podcast earlier, who's now wandered off, has actually just completed. But
she says she's going to replay it because you've got to speed run it in under 2 hours for a trophy, even though it took her 10 plus hours to do it the first time.
And this article is video game developer behind Stray helps raise money for homeless cats. The video game developer that released the hotly anticipated game Stray has helped charities for homeless cats raise money. Annapurna Interactive called the create the game Stray, which focuses on a lost cat that has become separated from its family. The cat must find its way out of the city and that is populated by robots and machines. And in the spirit of the game, the company has partnered with cat charities to raise funds and awareness by giving away copies of the game. Players donated $5 to be entered into a competition to win a copy of the game, and the charities involved are the Nebraska Humane Society and Cats Protection, a UK cat charity. As the competition drew to a close, Nebraska Humane Society raised $7,000 from 560 donations. That's especially notable because the vast majority of donations were from people who had never donated before. I love that. Just using the power of gaming, which is increasingly popular, just to raise money for a cause that you believe in. So well done, the guys at Annapurna Digital, the creators behind Stray. That is amazing work. Well done. Let's talk now in the third part of our interview with Martha Lawton from the podcast Squanderlust. Now, I've been on Martha's podcast. It's quite fun.
Mm-hmm.
she's got a professional recording studio in Soho, London, of all places. Not our little office in the Seymour Centre,
Or the dining room table.
or the
as
dining
we're
room
currently
table when we
using.
do it via Zoom. Yeah, it was great chatting to Martha, and this is the last part of her interview. Shall we have a listen?
Yep.
One of my favourite stories is, and I get the opportunity to tell this quite a lot, is every year. So my dad's in his early 70s now, and every year I get to go away with my dad. So we've done it for about 10 years, and what we do is we pick a place, fly out somewhere, and just have a really good time. And I say this in the context of somebody who's given the responsibility to look after people's life savings, but can still make really silly mistakes. So the last time we went away was 2019.
Yep.
It was Gibraltar.
Nice.
And flew out there, and I booked the Hotel Gibraltar. Thought I'd done all the planning right. It was 10 minutes from the airport, all good stuff. So flew out there 10 o'clock at night, and got in a cab. The cab driver said, "I'm really sorry, I can't take you to the Hotel Gibraltar." I was like, "Well, why not?" Well, what's the problem? He went, "Well, the Hotel Gibraltar's not in Gibraltar. It's in Spain."
Oh.
So I'd literally booked a hotel in the wrong country. So I had to drag my 70-odd-year-old dad, who's still in pretty good shape but not happy at this point, across the border to this hotel. It was 10 minutes walk. Don't worry, we'll get a cab. We'll get a taxi to the hotel, and realised that we didn't have any euros because we assumed that we were staying in Gibraltar and they use pounds. So I had to literally walk my dad 20 minutes down the road to this hotel. And like the reason I mention that story is just like people make, and in terms of like in all aspects of our lives, I think we just need to be more open about the stuff going wrong, because it allows us as humans to turn around and go, that doesn't define us.
Absolutely.
Those mistakes aren't definable. They're just things that are always going to happen, right? What do you think?
Absolutely. Well, exactly that.
I mean, clearly you've never booked a hotel in the wrong country. I wouldn't have...
Not that I can remember.
Exactly.
But I have very much turned up at the wrong venue for things, on the wrong dates. I got the date when the clocks changed wrong once and was an hour late for work. Which, I mean, that's
was
quite...
this pre-mobile, or was this like...
It was before mobiles were smart enough to do the change
switch, right?
for
Okay,
you.
yeah.
And I mean, I just kind of had a bit of a... Yeah, my brain just didn't really work on that. I mean, this is also pre-diagnosis by some miles as well. So
Yeah.
my ADHD brain just
didn't compute.
Got the wrong date for when it happened.
I've got no excuse. I've got no reason for my mistake, though. That's the problem.
Well, I mean, I can now blame everything on the ADHD, but I'm not sure that's actually
exactly.
true.
It's definitely ADHD. What do you find in terms of both the work you do, the conversations you have with guests, all of that sort of good stuff? What do you find the biggest misconception is about money?
Biggest misconception about money, or the biggest misconception about managing it? The biggest misconception
Both.
about...
Let's cover one at a time.
Okay. So the biggest misconception about money is that you can somehow spend the same pound twice.
Yeah.
I think, which is not a conscious misconception, but it's something that people subconsciously...
That manifested.
So, well, it's an over-optimism thing where people think, I can somehow I'll make it okay. This, and somehow I'll make it okay. And it's because they've now really deeply internalised the idea that once it's gone, it's gone.
Gotcha.
And you can't spend it again. And so there's that one. And then the biggest misconception about managing money is, and I think we've kind of touched on it in the show already, that if you are good at managing money, that's all you think about, and that it makes you a greedy and ruthless person.
Yeah.
Whereas
the perception of financial independence, and again, I speak to people about this quite a lot. The perception of financial independence as a thing that only people who really care about money care about is absolute madness, isn't it? You know, it's just like sort of, you know, I think it just simplifies that that perception. It's an interesting one. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that is?
I think we have a lot of stereotypes about who gets rich and who is rich. I think there's something about the definition of what it means to be rich. And what's visible. I think the people who have money and don't care about it to the point where they want to show it off, or to the point where they're doing things they shouldn't do in order to get it. Those people aren't visible on purpose because they don't want to be visible. If you are financially comfortable and secure, or financially independent, however you want to describe it, and you don't want to be flash, and you haven't done it in such a way that you're going to get in the papers for mistreating workers or defrauding somebody or whatever it might be.
Which is the majority of financially independent people, right?
So if you are that person, there's no way for somebody to know about that.
Completely get that.
You're not showing off about it. And you're not in the papers for doing dodgy things. And so you're just kind of living your life quietly and comfortably.
I think interestingly that sets a challenge, because particularly with sort of younger people sort of growing up, the perception they have of wealth is all about being flashy and showing off and having all of that sort of stuff, whereas that ordinary sort of just happy, content, just living a life that they're comfortable with, and there might be aspirational. There's nothing against that aspiration, but actually that there seems to be those, and again you could argue this about a lot of elements of our society. The loudest shouters are the extreme ones, aren't they? And how do you change somebody's perception on that?
I think, again, it depends on, that listening first. And bring it back to, so if you had significantly more money than you have right now, how do you think that would change you? Do you think you would become what you say you despise? Or do you think actually you
That's a great question. More aligned to your values and give back, and
exactly.
Great question. I really like that. I like to sort of go into flights of fantasy. Oh, you know what? I've got to tell you this story. Do you remember? Because we're a similar age, aren't we? I think we're sort of early 40s. Do you remember Choose Your Own Adventure books?
Oh yeah, love those.
You know what? They were like a really big part of my childhood. So I was really impressed when my 10-year-old came home yesterday. She went, "Dad, I've got to do a Choose Your Own Adventure presentation at school." And I was like, right, I'm really into this. And basically, and I didn't know this, you can do it on PowerPoint or Google things where you can like make the boxes clickable when it goes to a different slide. Right, amazing.
Love this.
Right, and even better than that, apparently Sophie was showing me yesterday, you can make a series of YouTube videos which are basically Choose Your Own Adventures, because you can, there are boxes at the end of a YouTube video where you can click one or the other. Basically, you can just build it so that it's its story, right? So Sophie and I last night started working on our own Choose Your Own Adventure. Because we both like art. I said to her, right, I've got this idea, and we would like sort of thinking about like different bizarre ideas, and it went completely off tangent, like this podcast interview right now, where I said, look, right, why don't we do it where we do a MC Escher thing, and it's like set in this like impossible painting where you've got to try and escape from the possible painting. And bless her, she was amazing, because she initially, once I showed her the pictures, she knew who MC Escher was, but she assumed it was a garage DJ, MC Escher, at the start, which I thought was an absolute genius move. And I want to hear MC Escher's music now. Do you know what I mean? Like
my goodness,
MC Escher with Miss Dynamite is definitely a band that I want to go and see. So effectively, we like a flight of fantasy in my family, in my life, and on the podcast, because this is a podcast that we do on the family. So I'm giving you a magic wand, right? And that magic wand will enable you to make the world a kinder, more financially independent, whatever you want it to be. So you've got a magic wand. What would you wish to change in the world? That allowed you
to create
a kind of more empathetic. What can we do to make the world a better place?
I would. So at the beginning of this podcast, we talked about the fact that I have ADHD and I was recently diagnosed. I would allow every other neurodivergent kid, so anybody with ADHD, autism, dyslexia, dyspraxia, any of those, firstly to know about it, so they're not spending their life as I was for so long, questioning and asking themselves what's the matter, but then also give them the support right from that very, very early age. See, from the beginning of primary school, from right from that early age, to live well. And I think that would both bring that peace of mind of not questioning what's the matter with me all of that time, but also there are really massive material changes that would happen as a result of that.
Gotcha.
So there would be, people would get much better educational outcomes because they would know what they needed and what support they needed in school. A lot of those things come with emotional challenges and emotional regulation challenges.
Because the labels that are put on.
But I mean, actually, so ADHD, one of the features of ADHD, symptoms of ADHD, is difficulty regulating emotions. So I have the right type of emotion for the situation, but I feel it way too intensely.
Gotcha.
They're big emotions and they're right near the surface. And so knowing about that and being able to have strategies to manage those so that I wouldn't blow up and have a big temper or cry at the drop of a hat, whatever it might be. Being able to kind of manage and regulate those emotions better. It would have big knock-on implications in terms of people's relationships, in terms of all sorts of other stuff around health, even things like, so people with ADHD that are not diagnosed are more likely to have car accidents.
Right. Because they just don't know what.
So because of distractibility and impulsivity and all sorts of other risk-taking behaviour.
So just one, and again, again, apologies for interrupting, because I'm just curious. What it sounds like, again, is this recent diagnosis has been massively, and again, if I've got it wrong, tell me. But it seems like it's been a real empowering thing in your life.
Sure. Yes.
How do we make sure that we're using that that diagnosis to make sure it's empowering and not debilitating?
A label that puts somebody in a box. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's the attitude that you bring to it. So if you say, well, you have ADHD and therefore it's the fixed and growth mindset thing again, right? So you have ADHD, so therefore you're in this box as having these symptoms, and that means you're kind of useless.
It's not a problem. It's actually a potential superpower that you've just got to...
Well, even if it's not a superpower, it could be. but it's just how I am. In the same way that I'm short-sighted, and I don't label myself for being short-sighted. It's just what my eyes
adapting your life to
so to treat neurodivergence in the same way that we treat eyesight.
Gotcha.
And just say, sure, I need glasses.
Do you think we're better at it now than we used to be?
Definitely. I think we're definitely 100%. We're better than we used to be. We're nowhere near where we need to be.
Yeah.
But I think this conversation is happening. The fact that I felt comfortable to come on this show, and it was practically the first thing I said to you about myself.
Yeah.
Says that we are improving,
and I
want to be part of that.
And I suppose it goes back to everything we've talked about. If there's a sort of recurrent theme, it goes back to that element of just being open, honest. You know, and again, there's got to be a relationship of trust there, but being open and honest about making sure that you talk about some of these things in a really, in a way where you believe that somebody's going to understand and have your best interests at heart is probably the starting point to tackle a lot of these challenges, right?
Sure. And I think that when somebody like me, who is in other ways basically doing okay, says, this is a facet of my life. This is
it's a dimension, isn't it? Yeah, it's a dimension. Like we've all got dimensions of our life.
I can maybe change a bit of the perception of what a person with ADHD is like. I'm not a small boy running around hitting things, and I'm not having this conversation and then going, oh, a squirrel. I'm quite loud and outgoing, but when I was a kid and at school I was very, very quiet and shy, and I think that's part of the reason it was missed, because I was academically strong and very quiet and shy, and that's the opposite of the stereotype. But it's actually quite common still. And so I think being open changes that stereotype and just changes the perception, and when we do that, we're not putting people in boxes anymore, and that allows us to have
more nuanced
conversation and a more human conversation about it. It's 100%. Not theoretical, it's real,
and we're not defining people by a diagnosis. We're understanding that it's part of a complex.
There's Martha, and she makes curries and talks to people about money, and works in her garden, and also has ADHD, and it's
one question that I just want to finish on is how many of your ingredients are you actually growing in your garden? That must be a good opportunity for good curries, right?
It would be, but I'm actually very few, because it's mostly a flower garden. I'm not a big veggies person.
My youngest loves growing a chili and stuff like that in the garden. That's our latest thing.
So I have some herbs on the windowsill, and there'll be coriander leaves, because coriander leaves have to be in almost every curry. So definitely some coriander, but not so much else. I'm not a big veggie grower. It's all about the flowers where I am.
Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I've really enjoyed the conversation. It's been, like a lot of our interviews, quite wide-ranging, but amazing insight. Tell our listeners where they can find out a little bit more about you, the work you do, and the podcast.
Sure. So I am at Martha Lawton on Twitter. You can find me, if you want some coaching, at marthalawton.com. The podcast is Squanderlust.
Okay.
As in the intense desire to overspend.
Yeah. Was that an actual word before the...
So when we came up with it, we thought, this is amazing, it's genius. We put together this word that perfectly sums up what we want to talk about.
Yeah.
And we thought we'd invented it, and no, it's been around since the 1930s. Sadly,
it's such a great name. I mean, I'm getting a bit of name envy on podcasts because our one's just called The Kindness Project.
Well, it does what it says on the tin.
It does. It does.
You know, people mishear Squanderlust, which is one of the reasons why I kind of have to tell you what I'm talking about. But yeah, we are on all the major podcast apps: Apple, Google, Castbox, Spotify, you name it.
Amazing.
Wherever you want to find us, and we are also at Squanderlust Pod all over social media.
Fab. Thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been great. Thank you.
Cool.
So that's the last part of the interview with Martha. Hopefully you really enjoyed that. Who we got coming up next week, Russ?
Steve Donovan.
Steve Donovan talking about Roundtable. That is definitely going to be a good interview. And we are now at the point in the podcast where...
Tis the end of another podcast, but the end is never truly the end because the end is always the beginning of something entirely new, and I need to be reminded to pack that mug in my stuff.
You need to take Tis the End one to Edinburgh. Edinburgh? Don't take it to Edinburgh, take it to Glasgow. And last week's question of the podcast is, what is your greatest sporting achievement? Sam Chilton said, beat the Olympic swimmer Duncan Goodhue in a swimming race. I was 7. It was doggy paddle, and I only learned to swim that week and completed the Turin border cross course with the Olympic team. I may have been on my backside for the whole 2 kilometres. Steve Dan said, winning the Barking and District Sunday League 3rd Division Cup. Dr. Johnny Bananas said, of course, sometimes achievement isn't about performance. I think that's a really important point. I don't think it's about coming first. I think achievement in sport is all personal. And then Scott Ferguson mentioned that I came 132nd out of 150 in a cross-country race when I was at school. Admittedly, this doesn't sound impressive, but he ran half of it with a nail in his foot. I don't know what the ones who were.
That is impressive because I was unimpaired and I always came last.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah. Bellytron on Twitter, Bellytron3000, great name, Bellytron3000, said half-court buzzer beater to win a basketball match in a nothing league against a poor team, but he still did it. Claire Trott ran 10 half marathons in 10 consecutive days and loved it. Iron Phil, now clearly Iron Phil's in a bit of shape because his Twitter username's Iron Phil, torn between winning a national championship in motorsport and competing in an Ironman triathlon, despite twice facing the real risk of being permanent in a wheelchair. I'd go with the Ironman, I think. Ollie Smith said running the Manchester 10K after not eating solid foods for several months. John said, I came at 18th in a 24-hour bike race, Mountain Mayhem. And Jim Fatchet UK said, I once came 5th in the Cheddar Challenge single speed cycle race. So we've got some impressive listeners and connections on the podcast. Thank you for sharing your sporting wins. Have a lovely week.
I realised I never shared one last week, and I think I've got a funny one just to end.
Go on then.
Sporting achievement: getting chucked out of the Olympic swimming pool for
But not doing, getting slung out of the Olympic swimming pool, but not being able to do a conventional swimming stroke. Perfect. And on that note, my friends, have a lovely week. Don't stay conventional. Be everything apart from conventional. And we'll see you next time on The Kindness Project.
Bye.
Bye.